Hello again, friends, and welcome into another edition of Wrestling with Rusty right here on YouTube for Monday, June 29th, 2026. I want to talk to you today about Triple H Paul Levesque of WWE blaming WWE fans for taking the product too seriously. Now, let's examine this. For years, anybody that competed against WWE, whether it be the NWA Crockett promotion that I grew up on, World Class Championship Wrestling, Mid South Championship Wrestling, later UWF, or any of the other Southern based promotions that were not WWE, tried to portray wrestling as real. I know that might be hard for some of you to understand, but for those of you that are not fans of WWE, there once upon a time was pro wrestling promotions that portrayed pro wrestling as real. It was not until 1987 that Vince McMahon, then current owner of the WWE at that time, came out and said wrestling was entertainment. It was not a sport, to avoid paying taxes to the athletic commissions and other type of fees. And since 1987, WWE has spent time after time after time after time telling you, they don't tell me this because I don't watch WWE. I think it sucks. But they've been telling you and many others that this stuff is not real. 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 And did I say this stuff is not real? Well, fast forward, Vince McMahon is no longer owner of WWE, even though he's still a stockholder. He's no longer owner of WWE. Paul Levesque, better known as Triple H, is in charge. And Paul Levesque and others are complaining about this being down and that being down, and they're blaming the fans for taking wrestling too seriously. Well, first of all, it's not 1987. There are more things you can watch now, whether it be on demand movies that you don't even have to go to the movie theater for, whether it be video games that you don't even have to go buy the actual video game anymore, you can download it, whether it can be thousands of channels on your television, whether it be through your cable system or through your streaming app. You can watch TV on your telephone as opposed to your television at home, and on and on and on. So that's one part of it. But the other part of it is you spent years telling us this stuff is not real, this stuff is not real, this stuff is not real. And now, when people are starting to stop watching it and complain about how bad the booking is and things of that nature, and how bad the product is and stuff like that, you want to blame the fans. Well, here's a novelty idea, Triple H and anybody else in WWE. If you want the fans to tune back in, make wrestling serious again, treat it as a serious sport instead of the clown show that you were responsible for turning it into. And maybe eventually, not right away, but eventually, some people will tune back in. You've also sold your soul to Netflix and any other streaming app or cable channel to put Raw on Netflix, and you put many other bad shows on other cable channels just to get the money instead of paying attention to the quality of each program, which is pretty much redundant of what I just said, but that's the truth. Um, and you've taken the money, and then when people complain about the actual product, you go, oh no, you can't say that. Well, I know WWE ticket sales are declining, AEW ticket sales are declining, and everybody else that's under AEW and WWE, like MLW and NWA and all that, virtually nobody's watching that at all. So wrestling is in a down period overall. And WWE is responsible for that, not just because of bad content, but because of high ticket prices that cost hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending upon where you're going to sit, backstage packages, and various things can cost you in the thousands if you have a family, and sometimes thousands even if you don't have a family. So, how about we lower the ticket prices, cut some of the salaries down, treat the pro wrestling as a serious product again, even though everybody knows it's not real? You could still act like it is. I mean, people go to movies. People knew Rocky, as an example. The Rocky movies were not real, okay? But they still got lost in the story of Sylvester Stallone trying to beat Apollo Creed or any other number of movies. People go to movies all the time, and most movies are not real stories, but they can still get lost in the movies. Well, why can't they get lost in WWE? It's very simple, because WWE is more interested in taking the money from the funding sources that they get the money from and not worrying about the quality of the product or trying to cheat or trying to treat the product as a serious sport. People say to me, Rusty, you can't turn back the clock. People know this is not real anymore. I'm not saying try to turn back the clock and pretend that it's real, that people don't know it's not real. People know it's not real now, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to make it look serious so that you can get lost in a competition between a good guy and a bad guy, or a good guy tag team and a bad guy tag team, instead of the backstage skits, bad comedy, um, and many other things, too numerous to get into here, that just drag the product down. The shows are too long, the storylines are not good, and they've just been coasting along, taking the money from various sponsors and not worrying about the product or the ticket prices for the fans. Well, now the product stinks and the ticket prices have gotten higher since TKO bought WWE from Vince McMahon a couple of years back. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. I'm not sad for WWE. I hope they continue declining, and I hope Triple H gets fired. I hope they go bankrupt, but I doubt they will. But even if they don't go bankrupt, maybe the product will suffer so badly that they realize we need to take this more seriously and not treat it as the clown show that we've been treating it since 1987. That's going to do it for me, Rusty. I'm out of here. We'll see you next time for another edition of Wrestling with Rusty right here on YouTube. And hopefully it'll be something better besides the WWE clown show and the ridiculousness that they try to spoon feed you, not me, because I don't watch the crap. That's going to do it for me. I'm out of here. We'll see you next time for another edition of Wrestling with Rusty right here on YouTube. And until we meet again, my friends, as the voice of AEW's Ring of Honor, Ian Riccaboni, would say, happy wrestling, everybody.